Hello there and welcome back. I want to give you the page numbers in the textbook. I have not written those down, so bear with me just a minute. We're talking about plant metabolism, and that's going to be on pages 132 through 135. So if you are doing the reading that goes along with this text, those are the pages in the book that you would want to look at. Okay, the next set of terms relates to how plants produce energy. Metabolism is the use of food to produce energy. So the first term is ATP, and you notice that this is all capitalized. That means that it is an acronym. And an acronym is a term. It's not a word, but it's a term that stands for usually a very difficult word to spell. So ATP stands for adenosine or adenosine triphosphate. So when scientists need to write adenosine triphosphate, rather than having to write all of that out, it's much easier to use the acronym. There's the A, there's the T, and there's the P. So ATP is adenosine triphosphate. And here's what it means. It is a molecule that carries energy. So for you and I to live our lives, we need energy. And that means we need ATP. We need those molecules in our body to carry energy. Carbon dioxide, di is a morpheme. Carbon dioxide is a molecule, and its symbol, again, instead of writing out carbon dioxide, we will usually just use CO2. That's what di means, two. So di is two. Carbon and two oxygens. A molecule that is a product of cellular, relating to the cells, respiration. You can think of that as cell breathing. And a reactant, that's on the left side of a chemical formula, in photosynthesis. So it's needed for photosynthesis, and it's a byproduct of breathing. Cellular respiration is a process that transfers the energy in sugar and what's that energy molecule called? To molecules of ATP. Chlorophyll is a substance in the chloroplast of a plant cell. We looked at a model of a plant cell back a ways ago. You might want to review that. It's in the cell chapter. That gives the green color and absorbs sunlight. So if the test question asks you what makes a plant green, you could say chlorophyll. Metabolism is all of the chemical reactions that drive life processes. So all of the chemical reactions occurring in our bodies or in plant bodies that keep them alive, that is referred to as metabolism. And finally, oxygen is a molecule that is a reactant. So that means that it's going in to photosynthesis. To cellular respiration. Reactant to cellular respiration. So it goes in to cellular respiration. And a product of photosynthesis. So it comes out of photosynthesis. And if these are not ringing a bell, go back and review the chemical reaction page that talks about products and reactants. And I think on the next page we're going to review that also. So I know it has been a while since we talked about these. So, okay, here is, I think I'm just going to go ahead and continue. The video is not terribly long just yet. First of all, there is this image from ABC Teach that shows you how photosynthesis works. So let's take a minute and just take a look at this. Remember, I have told you always to follow the arrows. That is important. So let's start with our little sunshine up here that is beating down on this plant. And the chlorophyll and the chloroplasts in those green leaves allow that plant to trap that sunlight. Okay? So we also have carbon dioxide going in to the plant. We have water going into the plant. So the going in is called the reactant side of this formula. So let's break this down and really understand what it's saying to me. Let me remind you that this is called the reactant side of the formula. Okay, so in the reactant side, this says 6 molecules of CO2. Well, what is CO2? That's carbon dioxide. So let's look at our picture and see, do you see carbon dioxide going in? This is into the reaction. Well, sure, right there, there's carbon dioxide going into this reaction. Right there, the carbon dioxide is going into the reaction. Okay, what about water? This is saying 6 molecules of H2O, which we call water. So do you see where that water is coming from in the picture? Well, sure we do. Down here, the roots are pulling that water up from the ground. And the water got there. It could have been from rain. It could have been in any number of ways. Someone could have poured the water down there. There could be irrigation. There could just be naturally occurring moisture in the soil, but there has to be water. Okay, then we have the sunshine, the presence of sunlight, and that is why plants must have light. This process cannot occur unless the sun or some light source is present. And I'm sorry, guys, that I'm stammering over my words this morning. I am so sleepy. It's Friday, and it's just, I'm sorry. I will do better. Okay, let's look at our product side of this equation, this chemical formula. So the product is what comes out of the process. It's what's produced. So these are the out elements. This is sugar. This is one molecule. It takes all of those to make a molecule of sugar. So back to our picture. Do you see sugar in the picture? And you may be thinking, no, I don't. But it's stored in that tomato. That's where the sugar is stored. It's food for that plant, and it's food for you and me. I happen to love tomatoes. But what else is being released here? 6 molecules of O2, which is breathable oxygen. This is the oxygen that you and I need every time we take a breath. So do you see that release? Where is it coming from? It's being released from the leaves of that plant. That's why plants are so important to our lives, because they help to put that oxygen out into the world that we need to breathe. So photosynthesis is the name of this formula, and it's showing us how plants use carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight to make food and also to give us breathable oxygen. Okay, let's look at the opposite reaction of photosynthesis, and this one is from KISS PNG, the source of the image, and it is showing you cellular respiration. So this time, we're starting with the glucose. The glucose is a reactant. It's going into the formula. So anytime you have a formula, break it down. Don't try to digest it all at one time. These are your reactants. They're the things going in to the equation. And hopefully you're starting to recognize that this is sugar. And the scientific name for this type of sugar is glucose. So I'm going to use the science name because we should be able to do that. But glucose is sugar. Okay, so this happens to be 3 molecules of glucose, but the formula is only talking about 1. And some oxygen. This is one thing about this formula this picture I don't really like. It should have some molecules of oxygen, 6 of them to be exact, if it's going into this equation also, because that is part of our formula. 6 molecules of breathable oxygen. Okay, so we put the oxygen and we put the glucose together. They go into, this happens to be a mitochondria. It's part of a cell. I don't know if you remember that, but you can look back at the cell diagram if you want. But it goes through this process, comes out. You can see the coming out. This is the reactant side. No, I'm sorry guys, this is the product side. I think after I finish this video I need to take a break because I'm starting to make mistakes. So out of this reaction we're going to get 6 molecules of CO2, which is carbon dioxide. And 1 molecule of water. And then here's the really good thing. Do you remember what ATP represents? Adenosine triphosphate is energy. So that's what that little lightning bolt is symbolizing. You are getting energy when your cells go through this process. So your body needs that glucose and carbon dioxide oxygen to make this ATP that your body needs to survive. So this is the process of cellular respiration. It is the reverse process of photosynthesis. They're sort of opposites. Okay? Hopefully that will help you a little bit with breaking down those formulas. I do not want you to worry about memorizing the formulas. You don't need to do that. I'm just trying to help you read the formulas and understand what they're trying to explain to you. Because sometimes you get a picture and sometimes you don't. And if you don't, you have to be able to sort of picture in your mind what is happening. All right, I'll see you in the next video and we will start talking about animals.